There you go.
And it's going to be with the new YouTube channel, since my channel, was long ago flagged, and a new website and everything. So, there are loopholes when it comes, because clearly it's very obvious that Facebook, YouTube, Google is all about censorship. I mean, they are really, especially lately, they've been just hugely cutting down on activism online on Facebook, like not even getting a tenth of the views that used to get.
Oh, really? Huh?
Oh, yeah, it's bad. I mean, I'm an admin on like about a dozen fan pages. Some of them have about 70,000 people on it, and it's very clear that it was very clear that the censorship is going on. And
definitely. Well, it is. Yeah, you're right. You bring that up, and it's like even with the CAV page, nobody sees what I post on there. That doesn't go on the newsfeed. But I just started the Demilitarized the Police page, and there's like almost 2,000 people that joined it in the past couple of weeks, and I think it's almost up to 2,000 now. And the reach compared to the CAV page is like, it's crazy. It's insane.
Right.
Like,
you have to make
people are seeing
a
what
page.
I'm posting on there, but they're not seeing what I'm posting. Like, it's definitely flagged. I know that page is flagged, so nobody sees it.
Exactly. So sensitive.
So that's kind of, you bring that up, and I've been thinking about that lately because I noticed I signed on to that page, and I'm like, wow, look at the reach. I posted just one article, and the reach was like 7,000 on it. And I post something on the CAV page, and it's like the reach is like 25 to 50. If I'm lucky to reach it 50. So, I mean, come on. I mean, there's way more on the other page, and so I don't know.
A friend of mine has a Facebook page that has a few 100,000 people, and she was always posting like stuff that isn't too controversial. It's just like, simple memes that people share, nothing harmful. And I was admin at the time, and I shared from my fan page one meme onto her page, and instantly her views, because that was a week before the Monsanto, March before Monsanto, her page views, she was reaching, I think it was something crazy like 16 million people a week.
Wow.
And that you could see on the page views, as soon as I posted that meme, everything that was posted after got out to no one. It went from 16 million people a week to less than 200,000 people a week. It dropped down to 200,000 people a week instantly.
Yeah.
It was right there on the page.
Yeah, that's what happened. I mean, we used to have a decent reach on the CAV page, until we had more reach on that page when we had 5,000 likes as opposed to when we started getting past like 10,000. And then once we got to like almost 14,000, all of a sudden it stopped. And like it gets nothing now. I mean, there's people that don't even know it exists.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's frustrating because that page is like 4 years old and put a lot of time into it. It's hard to start up another page considering like the algorithms and everything now. It's just hard to start. I say that I did start that new page and it did take off pretty fast, but there's a lot of people that want to see police forces demilitarized, so it makes sense.
Right.
It's a popular thing right now. So.
And you see really like idiotic videos out there, and they get 30,000 shares. It's amazing. Literally 30,000 shares. I mean, all the time, every day you see it.
Well, of course. I mean, people want to see their, piano playing cat.
Right. Of course. I'm guilty of that every once in a while.
Yeah.
The talking parrot.
Well,
it's all that baby fish.
On this subject, there was just a recent the iPhone 6 or whatever, that dude that put out it's a 4.5 minute YouTube video of him in the phone, and he's got 27 million views in like 2 days.
Wow, I heard about that.
Yeah, that just he he did something for 4.5 minutes, about bending the new iPhone, how it bends and all this stuff. And it's up to almost 28 million now. 28 million views. But he just made some money.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good amount of money.
That's serious money. That's like $50,000, and that's if he didn't become a partner. If he became a partner, which he probably did, it's going to be double that. But I want 26 million views.
Yeah, in a couple days. It's like 2 days.
You put out some fluff shit, you probably can get it.
And Mark, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a website just for really idiotic stuff,
Right.
That will be my source of income.
Like the YouTube videos the people passing around stuff on Facebook saying that you can charge the new iPhone 6 in the microwave, so people were putting it in the microwave.
I heard about that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
It deserves whatever happened.
Yeah, I can't believe that people would actually fall for that one.
Oh, yeah, it's insane. I mean, do they know? It just shows how crazy ignorant people are. Seriously. They don't know how microwaves work.
Well, they find out real quick.
Yeah, I guess so. It ends up being an expensive science experiment.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a fun one.
Wow. Yeah. Oh yeah. Unreal. You can charge your phone in the microwave.
And then to cool it down, you just plunge it into a bucket of water.
Bucket of water.
Yeah. Perfectly fine.
Wow.
You wonder why you can't get through to people on, real subjects.
Wow.
Well, it's true though. I mean, in order to get through to them, you have to present your information in a way that is. I don't want to say the word dumbed down, but palatable. Let's put it that way.
Catchy. You have to have some sort of something to catch their attention, something to sex it up, if you will. The guy who publishes a lot of my books, Timothy Green Beckley, he has a YouTube channel up, with interviews with some really interesting people in not only the UFO field but paranormal and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I mean he was finding that he wasn't getting hardly any hits at all on some of these just really good interviews, and so he decided he'd do an experiment with a couple of them and change the titles of the videos. I can't remember exactly what they were, but it was like one of them he changed it to man kidnapped by sex craved aliens. Hear the full story. And I mean, it shot up, Right, views skyrocketed. Yes.
I believe it.
Yeah. Of course, he has permission too. The guy he was talking with, can I try this? And he's like, yeah, sure, good. But that just goes to prove to you, though, what people are looking for.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how a well-written title can make all the difference in the world.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because if you just put something up like Tim Beckley interviews Paul Davies about Ghost. Ho hum.
Right.
But if you change it to something along the lines of I can't remember what it was. It was something like horror film publisher, screams from beyond the grave, I think is what it was. And and that got a lot more attention.
Sure.
And Paul Davies, he did a documentary on his alleged spirit communications with the late Forey Ackerman, the guy who published Famous Monsters magazine. And so it was a really good interview, but people just weren't interested with the original title.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
That's right.
Everyone listening, listen.
Unfortunately, that's what happens.
Yeah, don't fall into the black hole. No, actually, fall into the black hole.
Right.
Right.
People need to have their brains washed.
Yeah.
That's how I always looked at it.
See what's on the other side.
Excuse me.
Another thing I was curious, I guess we can switch the subject a little bit. There's some new news on the Georgia Guidestones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know if you've ever talked about that on the show. Tim, what's your take on the Georgia Guidestones?
Yeah, that's that's an interesting subject, because that's one of those things that it's I think everybody who is interested in bizarre stuff like that has an opinion, and it seems to attract. And I hate to use the word crazies, but let's face it, they really seem to attract a lot of the extremely fringe element who just believe that the stones were put up by a Satanist, and these are these were the 10 commandments of the devil, and if you follow them, then you'll be cast into the fiery pits of hell. And for those who aren't familiar with the Georgia Guidestones, they were put up in I think it was 1979. When probably it was a consortium of people. Nobody really knows for sure. The person, I guess, who was actually involved went under the pseudonym by the name of R.C. Christian, and they hired a local granite company to build the structure. And on it is a message that consists of a set of 10 guidelines or principles, maybe, that are engraved in 8 different languages, one language on each face of the 4 stones. And the guidelines are like 1, maintain humanity under, I think it's 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. 2, guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Well, that alone's enough to send a lot of people frothing at the mouth. 3, unite humanity with a living new language. They've tried that with Esperanto. That didn't work too well. 4, rule, passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. 5, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Wow, imagine that. 6, let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. 7, avoid petty laws and useless officials. That one's got me right there, boy. I love that one. 8, balance personal rights with social duties. 9, prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. 10, be not a cancer on the earth, leave room for nature, leave room for nature. And that's all it is. But for some reason, you've got just all kinds of people just fearing the worst from this thing. I mean, it's been vandalized a number of times. I know that they were graffitied with paint and slogans such as "Death to the New World Order" and stuff like that. And I guess just recently I was reading that I guess a block had been taken out of it, like
and they put in the date to the 2014 date. Was what was
whatever that means.
Yeah, and that's what I was wondering about. I was reading something on it, and I'm just like, why did they all of a sudden? Because I saw a picture of it, and it shows a stone, and there's like, you see where there's like a block removed, and they put up the block in, right? And they put, this says 2014. So that's kind of, I'm actually really curious what that means. Why all of a sudden 2014 they're putting that block in there. So it's.
Yeah, well, what I read was, I guess, that the newly added brick width was removed by authorities, and what was it? The complete sequence was 8/16/2014 with letters MM on the top and JAM on the bottom. So who knows? And that's just it. Nobody really knows. Nobody knows, who the people were that were behind, putting them up. If there is, some kind of hidden meaning, it's just really kind of a mystery. And I know from my own experience with this kind of stuff that probably the explanations will end up being a lot more mundane than everybody is currently speculating.
Well, that's what happens when you get unanswered questions, when you don't know what the real truth is, and things can just get run so wild that it's funny that often it is so much more simple or mundane, like you said, than.
Well, I mean,
but that being said, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the 10 guidelines, I mean, they really seem to make pretty good sense to me. I mean, I don't know why something like that has so many people, up in arms. I mean, I like especially the avoid petty laws and useless officials.
Yeah. Comparing it to, and then comparing and talking about the New World Order, that makes sense too. See, I'm not. That's one subject that I really haven't got much into is the Georgia Guidestones, and I didn't really pay attention to it till I pretty much read that article the other day. I mean, I knew about them. I think we briefly discussed it on the show one night. I don't remember who was on, but so it caught my attention. But then, you're right. You read them and it doesn't really, like you just said, it doesn't, I don't know where the connection of the New World Order would come in, considering some of the things that, the stuff that says on it, but I don't know, it just seems weird. It's weird. It's odd. It's a mystery. It is. You're right. It's a mystery. So.
Well, I mean, it's odd because, I mean, it's, because nobody knows just, who ponied up the money to put them up there.
Right.
And to a lot of people, especially like a fundamentalist of all kinds of religions. I mean, a lot the guidelines just really smack against what they believe in.
Right.
Right. I mean, because I mean you have religions and societies who are completely against basically all those things. I mean, they like petty laws and useless officials. I mean, they want to rule against everybody else. I mean, it's their way or the highway. And and of course, I mean, I think the one thing that has a lot of people up in arms is to maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature, which then gets a lot of people talking about the whole extermination of the useless eaters, as it's been referred to. You know, supposedly that's the agenda of the New World Order.
Yes, Agenda 21. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, but
that's something to keep an eye on, though.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you know, maybe someday, you know, the explanation will come out on who put these up. But you know, I don't know. I hope not. I love a mystery. Let's keep it a mystery.
It keeps us talking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, if this was a science fiction movie, I mean, the Georgia Guidestones, that would be the place where, at a certain time, they'll fall over and the zombie apocalypse will start from that point.
Yeah.
Nice.
I talked to him before we had you on. We were talking. I don't know. I think Jeff might have checked it out. I know Mark did. There's these in Sydney, on Sydney Beach in Australia. Did you read about that? Those.
Oh yeah.
What's your take on that? That's kind of weird. I mean, it could be anything. I see the article that I have. What's that website? What was it? Daily Mail? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Say
Daily
something
Mail,
like
yeah.
alien eggs or something like that.
Oh man, yeah. Exactly.
Well, again, I mean, you know, that's they look almost like something you would see at the beginning of a good American international horror film, you know, directed by Roger Corman. Yeah. You know, I mean, they wash ashore and seem innocent enough, and people take them home, and then the next thing you know, the sea chuds are growing out of them. There.
I think I just
I don't know. Now, see, I've just come up with the perfect title of a new movie, Sea Chud. Somebody ought to do that now. I wonder if anybody has seen these things before. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. It's really interesting. I know that the article said that possibly it was just was it the algae or seaweed or something like that
algae balls
algae balls for some reason, which I mean, I know that with the the way that tides and waves work, it has a tendency to actually roll stuff up like that into balls. So I mean, if you've got say just because of the time of the year when you have like an overabundance of floating algae or small seaweed that's gotten together and then been balled up by wave action. I don't know. I mean, I haven't done any research to see if because you never can tell. I mean, a newspaper article like this, they'll just jump on it right now and kind of omit the fact that this happens every year on this coastline, but we're going to report on it now and
right.
make it seem like it's a really weird thing.
Yeah, right. Like we were talking about before with people with their web pages, they just like InfoWars will try to break on some story like the one that Mark brought up earlier. What was it? The one that InfoWars.
The Newton, Connecticut.
Sandy Hook.
In 2012, there was no murders in Newton, Connecticut. Well, of course, we know that there was a school shooting, and it took me 5 minutes to find that the FBI doesn't classify mass murders as like murders. They don't separate them down. So there was no actual single murders. What happened? But I mean, it blew up. Like InfoWars and all these other pages
reported that there was 0 murders at the scene.
Oh, I see.
InfoWars kind of ran with it with no sources or anything like that. They just ran with it. So that's
right.
there's a lot of web pages like that. I don't know like we brought up, we talked about a few web pages. I'm sure you're familiar with them, like beforeitsnews.com and yeah. And they're doing it just for hits. And
right.
So I stopped. I don't go to InfoWars or Before It's News, or there's a WorldTruth.tv or whatever. I just avoid them.
Oh my God! I don't think that I've been to InfoWars site in years.
Mm-hmm. I haven't. No, I barely. I see something in the news feed once in a while. I'll see something. If I see something legit, sometimes they do have some. They do have some good reporters, and there are some people that Alex has working for him that actually do a good job. I do like some. I'm not an Alex Jones fan by any means at all, and but yeah. So I don't know. That's just how it is.
That information just really plays into the whole. A meme that got started for whatever reason. I've yet to figure that out. That the whole Sandy Hook thing was like some kind of government conspiracy. I don't know, maybe to start the whole process of taking everybody's guns away from them or something like that. Because I've seen some interesting articles about alleging that. Some of the parents that were interviewed weren't actually parents; that they were like actors, hired to be on the scene and things like that. Which that's anybody who does just a little bit of research investigation could pretty much blow that out of the water.
There are a lot of abnormalities with the Sandy Hook thing. We've had I don't know. There's a documentary. It's called. Well, you can go to YouTube and just type in Sandy Hook hoax. I think that's actually the name of the documentary. It's by Mark Howitt. We've had Mark on a couple times. It's probably the best documentary I've seen about the whole thing, and he does a really good job with it. And if you haven't seen it, check it out, because it really, it shows the abnormalities. And I don't know, guys. Does it talk about actors or anything on there though?
Yeah, yes.
Does it? I can't remember.
I'm quite sure.
So I haven't seen this.
Though.
What's his thesis?
You'll have to watch it. I haven't seen it for a while. We did have. I don't know. I honestly see so many things every day that.
I know.
You know what I mean? But no, he does. It's if you just go to YouTube and type Sandy Hook hoax, and it'll be under Mark Howitt's YouTube page. And go to that, watch that. He does a really good job. Like, I've seen some other stuff that I was like, but the way that he broke it out and everything, I thought he did a really good job. I think it comes in like a 10. There's either a full documentary or he's got one on there that has it's broken up in parts or whatever. But there was one point that YouTube actually removed one of his videos, one of the parts. And it took him a little while to get it back up there. But, no, it's really interesting. Check it out. If you're going to check anything out about Sandy Hook, I'd just go to that first.
Well, I do... Go ahead, finish that thought.
Go ahead. It's all right.
I was just going to say that... Yeah. No, I was just going to say that I think it is interesting that like over the past what has it been like 15 years or so, that there has been just really an unexplained upsurge of those particular sorts of mass murders, the school shootings and all that. And it's you have somebody like Lauren Coleman, who is best known as a cryptozoologist, but he's also interested in how certain events tend to get replicated for various reasons. He talks about how media coverage, can be very powerful in basically creating a meme that just self-perpetuates. And he also says that names, particular names seem to have almost a power on their own to perpetuate certain kinds of situations. And it almost seems that way, with a lot of these mass school murders. Something like that was, within our lifetime was unheard of, and now, you're seeing schools that are almost virtual prisons. Doors are locked, security cameras. The kids are taught, duck and cover techniques and things like that. Can you imagine, when you were in school, having to go through stuff like that? And now it's almost becoming, a normality.
Yeah, and they're starting to militarize schools. There's a couple. Mm-hmm. I've seen some articles coming up where now they're giving them military equipment.
Yep. So now not only do you have police forces, that are militarized, now you've got schools.
Right.
This makes me think about some of these movies from the the late 80s, where you had schools basically the same way, except that it was the students were all armed and the teachers were all armed, and and the security robots were all armed. That'll be the next thing, now somebody will develop RoboCop types of robots that they'll let loose in the schools to monitor the hallways. What's your password here?
Right. What's your hall pass? You will be tased in seconds.
We're laughing about it, but
yeah.
Well, you either laugh about it or you cry.
That's right. Well, and I guess that's the biggest thing about, let's say, Sandy Hook. Whether it was, I definitely think something was fishy about it. But let's say, everything's actually legit, just the way that they say it. It happened. They still use it for their advantage of, growing police state and et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, definitely. It's like I said before. When we were talking about the accidental release of pathogens, stuff like that may not be deliberate, but there's definitely people out there who are willing to make a profit off of it.
Right, profit.
And the same goes for these kinds of situations. And when I say profit, not only are we talking about a monetary profit, but we're also talking about a sociological profit.
Certainly.
There are people who, on all sides, who use incidents like this to try to gain some kind of, societal edge.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be the people who say that everybody should be armed, to the people who are like, well, nobody should be armed.
Right.
And then you have the people who are like, well, this all of this is because that we don't have God in our schools now, so now everybody should be armed with God. So you've got everybody who's jumping onto the bandwagon, trying to get their particular philosophy heard and implemented, and then the next thing you know, they're all fighting with each other. And the true causes are being overlooked. Whatever that may be.
Exactly.
And once again, it could be something like the types of vitamins that that they put in the breakfast cereals.
Right.
You know, the kids who eat these, sugar-coated cereals all these years, it causes some kind of, genetic defect that, snaps in their brain at a certain point, and
they go on a killing rampage.
Yeah, it seems to me that there was a movie along those lines. What was it like? I think it was called like Blue Sunshine, and Blue Sunshine. From the title, it was a type of LSD that people took. But it only had one side effect. It was like 10 years later, their hair would fall out and they became like mindless zombie killers. But I mean, that may sound far-fetched, but a lot of times we have no idea of the results of the various kinds of chemicals that really perpetuate in our environment. The plastics, the stuff that they put in foods to preserve them, the linings of food cans, things like that. I mean, singular by themselves, they may not have any harm. But who's to say whether or not that you combine all of these together, and every day that we're exposed to these sort of things, whether or not it doesn't have some kind of cumulative effect down the road, especially on children, as they're growing and developing, and then you don't see the results till years later, whatever those results may be.
Right. Oh, of course.
Whether or not it's the lowering of testosterone levels, or the combination of these chemicals causing almost like an antidepressant drug effect, on kids' brains.
Mm-hmm.
And God knows what something like that is doing.
And back to what great ways for many people to gain, to profit in so many different ways.
Oh yeah. And that's just it. Nobody really knows, but if you've got some smart companies, who's got their, secret labs someplace doing this kind of research, and they're like, we can see that, 10 years down the line, such and such effect is going to happen due to the exposure of, children's shampoo and toothpaste.
Mm-hmm.
So what can we do to make money off of that when it happens?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm somewhat laughing about that, but it's happening. I mean, there are places that are doing just exactly that. They are able to statistically predict, such and such an event is going to happen down the road. What can we do to make money off of it?
Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. People think, oh, well, that's crazy. You can't make those kind of predictions. Well, yes, you can. It's done all the time.
Oh, sure. These big companies have special teams set up just for that. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They may a lot of these, the more public companies may do it in the form of, say, like, stock speculation, or things like that. But there are other segments of these businesses that are doing just like I described. How these different chemicals or different environmental situations that are coming about now will affect people down the road. And what can we do to make a product,
Yeah, exactly.
that we can make money off of it.
That we can profit. That's right.
That's right. New Lemon Fresh. an improved autism cure.
Right. Well, exactly, and they have it all lined up and all ready to go.
Well, that's it's also somewhat along the lines of when you were talking earlier about having suspicions about the whole vaccination industry. I mean, there have been a lot of people who were saying that their belief was that vaccinations may be responsible for the uptick in autism in the population over the last, especially over the last 20 years. More than likely, there has been, I don't know if that is something that eventually that they could actually come up with, say like a chemical cure, in the form of pharmaceuticals, but I definitely I can safely say that probably starting about 15 years ago, there were companies who started working on various kinds of psychological treatments that they could bring into play. When this stuff when these autism cases come to a head. And and you've seen that too. I mean, you've seen a lot of new and different types of treatment's not the right word, but I can't think of the word now.
It happens. It happens to me all the time.
Yeah, well, my brain just suddenly comes to like a sudden stop, and let's see, I blame sugar, but or the massive amounts of caffeine that I take, ingest every day. Well, like I said, treatment's not the right word, but I mean, there's just the various kinds of methodologies that they have developed, to try to address autism and to help these children to at least make some of the just to help some of the worst cases, just to be able to take care of themselves a little bit better and not be a burden on their families for their entire lives, and that's the thing. I mean, not only are we seeing an uptick of autism, but we're seeing an uptick of just the really debilitating kind of autisms where these kids are. I mean, they're just they just cannot take care of themselves. I mean, they have to be put into facilities or group homes or anything like that, because their families, eventually can't take care of them as they grow older. But then you have the opposite effect in society, where the money is no longer there for these types of facilities, forcing a lot of these people to be put out onto the street, and then forcing the local police force to act as psychiatric units. I mean, there's no place to put them, so we'll put them in jail.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And you see a lot of money being poured into the private prisons and things like that.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for a long while it was, they used the whole war on drugs. You catch this teenager with a joint, let's put him in jail for 20 years.
Right. Put him away.
Well, we don't have enough. We don't have enough jails. Well, we've got some private companies that'll take care of that for you. And then you had these judges that were in the pockets of these companies who were giving these just absolutely outrageous sentences, just so these kids can be put in these prisons to make money for these companies who are running them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
You know, I've often wondered sometimes whether or not the whole, you know, because it started with in the Reagan administration, you know, they started closing down psychiatric units under the excuse that, well, you know, these big psychiatric facilities really aren't doing any good. You know, you need smaller community facilities to help these people. Well, you know, that may be all well and good. Nobody provided any money for these smaller units, you know, for these smaller facilities to take these people. You know, I mean, and you know, agreed. You know, there probably were a lot of people who were put into these large institutes who really didn't need to be put there. But then again, you have people who are profoundly sick, profoundly, you know, like you know, mentally damaged, and they just, you know, cannot function in proper society. And facilities like that were needed for those kinds of people. Well, now you don't even, you know, for the most part, you don't even have them for those kinds of people. So, I mean, you have these really dangerous, you know, people, not only, you know, to other people, but dangerous to themselves, you know, running around out in the streets, and the police are forced to, you know, to put them in jail, you know, with the rest of the prison population, you know, who, you know, a lot of these guys are there for, you know, nonviolent crimes, and then they have to share a cell, you know, with somebody who, you know, thinks that eating the skin off of people's faces, you know, their idea of a good time.
Hey, right. That's fun. Exactly. So, Tim, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break here, and come back and get into a couple more topics here, if that's all right with you.
All right, I'll be here.